Hey everyone, this is Arjit. You are watching this video on our YouTube channel. This video, I'm going to focus on the day-to-day life of a Scrum Master. About 2 weeks ago, did a video on the day-to-day life of a business analyst, and it was really well liked by all of you guys. And I got a lot of requests to make a video on what the day-to-day life of a Scrum Master looks like. So this is this video. Again, if you're coming across this video by searching or by just looking around for business analysts and Scrum Master domains, we do have a dedicated YouTube channel that helps provide lots of great content on business analysts and Scrum Master. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. And then also, please share this content with your friends and family who may be interested in transitioning into the business analyst and Scrum Master domain. So with that, I will get started. So this video, as I mentioned a little while ago, is on what does your day-to-day look like as a Scrum Master? And if you don't already know, a lot of my content, a lot of my training focuses on the practical day-to-day experience of business analysts and Scrum Masters versus the textbook stuff. We do have a program if you're interested in signing up. We don't focus on the textbook stuff. I don't teach from the textbook. I teach and train with my practical experience of 15 to 18 years of being in this industry. I started as a junior business analyst, and now I'm working as a program manager, managing multi-million IT projects. So I've been around the block for a while. And while I do project management and program management, business analyst and Scrum Master are still where my heart is. And we are going to start expanding into project management as well fairly quickly. So with that said, if you haven't met me, great to meet you. If you've been watching our content for a while, thank you so much. We appreciate you and all the love that you've given our channel. So with that, let me get started on the day-to-day business, what the day-to-day life of a Scrum Master. So what the textbooks will tell you is that the job of a Scrum Master is to do the ceremonies, right? The daily stand-up, the sprint planning, and etc., right? And they don't really go into the details of what is required as a Scrum Master. As in my video before, the day-to-day life of a business analyst, I break it down for you in helping you understand what your life is going to look like based on the life cycle that your project is in. And it's very common as a business analyst that you'd manage 2 to 3 projects at a time, right? Because no organization has, unless it's like a large scale project, then you may have only one, but generally business analysts manage 2 to 3 projects. Even as a Scrum Master, based on your size and complexity, you may be managing 1 or more projects as a Scrum Master. So just be mindful. And the way that I'm going to explain the day-to-day life of a Scrum Master is based on where we are in the sprint cycle. So as you know, with Waterfall, we do everything in iterations, right? You have planning, analysis, design, development, right? Everything happens in a linear approach. With the agile environment as a Scrum, everything happens in smaller iterations, right? So generally we have 2 to 4 week sprint cycles. And in the 2 to 4 sprint cycles, there's a whole bunch of activity that happens. And so as a Scrum Master, yes, it's important for you to lead the quote unquote ceremonies that the textbooks talk about, such as the daily stand-up, sprint planning, the retrospective, the sprint demo. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that, as a Scrum Master, that you're responsible for. And one key difference between a business analyst and a Scrum Master, or even a project manager, as a Scrum Master, you're managing the sprint, right? And yes, you're not, nobody reports to you per se, right? Like the developers and the QA or whatever your Scrum team is made up of, they don't generally report to you as a manager, but you are managing their work. So similar to what a project manager does, right? A project manager manages the life cycle of a waterfall project. So it may be 6 months and maybe 8 months and maybe 12 months, 18 months, whatever that is, a project manager is managing that duration and all the activities that take place. As a Scrum Master, though, you are managing at the sprint level. So smaller iterations of the things that need to take place. One other very big misconception, and again, I will caveat this by saying that all organizations operate a little bit differently. So when I say that the textbooks say that Scrum Masters don't write user stories, that is true for some organizations. For many organizations, including the one that I'm in, there are oftentimes where Scrum Masters do need to roll up your sleeves and start to write user stories when we need to, right? Again, a lot of organizations are operating in the way that makes the most sense for them. But I want you to be mindful that as a Scrum Master, you're not just scheduling meetings and going from meeting to meeting, you are actually managing at the sprint level. So with that, let me share my screen. I will show you a diagram and show you what you should, if you're working as a Scrum Master, generally what your responsibilities mean. Okay, give me 1 second. So here, this is one slide out of the slides that I train in my training program. This is a image that I got off of Google. I did not create this. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is to give you context of what it means to be a Scrum Master. So in every image that you see for Agile, this is very typical of what you will find on Google or YouTube or anywhere else you're using to kind of gather information about what Scrum Masters do. So everything always starts with a product backlog. Then you have sprint planning, sprint backlog, Scrum Master, right? Daily Scrum, and then sprint review and sprint retrospective. So think about it when I frame what your job is. I'm going to start with, let's say we're talking about an active sprint. So now, as a Scrum Master, your sprint has started, right? So here's where we are. So as a Scrum Master, the first thing that we talk about is a daily stand-up. The daily stand-up is a meeting, 15 15 minutes. The textbooks say it should only be 10 to 15 minutes. And it can be, most days it can be, but oftentimes in the real world, I've seen 15 to 30 minutes being a very normal daily stand-up conversation. This is a meeting that's from Master's schedule, and your day is going to depend on how this daily stand-up is happening. Because the goal of the daily stand-up is for your team members, developers, QA, UX design, whoever makes up your team of Agile, right? This Agile team could be 5 people, could be 7, could be 9, depend, like usually an odd number, right? So depending on how many roadblocks that they're identifying could dictate what your whole day is going to look like, right? So let's say you have 5 people and in the daily stand-up, they all say that everything is fine. They're not having any roadblocks. They're telling you what they did yesterday. They're going to tell you what they're doing today. That's great. Then you can proceed on your day with whatever you have planned. Now, let's say out of your 5 team members, 4 people report that they have some roadblocks or they need some support. So this is where now your day that you have planned shifts to making sure that you remove those roadblocks or impediments, as the proper word is impediments, right? And oftentimes my students ask me, they say, hey, Sarabjit, like, what does a roadblock, what does an impediment look like? And it could be anything. It could be that your developers need access to an API and they don't have the API key, so they can't continue. It could be that your QA team needs to start creating test scripts and the designs aren't approved. It could be that, we need sign off on design and, it could be a whole bunch of things. And the reason why Scrum Masters, and this is my personal opinion, so you guys could love it or hate it. The reason why Scrum Masters and project managers and even BAs are successful is because we have people skills. And that's the key distinguish quality in my perspective is what will make you successful. And because we have people skills, it doesn't mean that the Scrum Master needs to have all the answers or needs to know how to do everything. We are the personality that will say, okay, Jerry, thank you for identifying this thing or this impediment. Let's touch base after this, after the stand-up so I can get more information and figure out how to help you out. So this is how you're going to conduct your daily stand-up. Each person goes, they tell you what the roadblock is, not necessarily that you'll have the answers, that you'll connect with them and gather more information and figure out what the next steps need to be.